The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening edition of the show. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, and we're going to have a lot of things to deal with on the off season. You hoped everything was going to click the way it needed to, and just, unfortunately, it's just not the way it goes, but it'll be all right. We'll talk through it. We'll even let some of y'all vent, get some frustrations out, and talk about what we need to do going forward to get better. But first, I have so many guests to introduce, it's not even funny. We've got a jam-packed show tonight, so I'll bring them on one at a time and make sure I get the introductions correct. Joining me tonight from the PHONIES podcast, let me first introduce Corey. Bringing Corey in. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good having you on the show.
It's great to be on with you, Ivan. Thanks for the invite. We're getting through it hour by hour. It's been rough on a brother today.
Understandable, buddy. But like I said, we'll just talk through it and get through it one little bit at a time. Coming in, we'll try and see if we get Ricky fixed. Ricky, are you there?
I am here.
All right, we got a blank screen, but we can hear you, so we couldn't hear him.
That's better.
We couldn't hear him earlier, so we've got a voice. So this will work out pretty good. So,
All
Ricky,
right.
thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. Well, having the four phonies, I must say.
And we had 40 on here, but I think he disappeared.
That's all right. I know what he was going to say. I'll double his 40 if I need to tonight because I know exactly what he's going to say.
All right. Well, we've definitely got a backup plan just in case, so no worries there. So, guys, how's the mood in your area? You feeling all right? I know there's a lot. Everybody's been depressed. Everybody's been upset. Just how's the mood with you all in general? I mean, we'll start with you, Corey.
Well, I'm a pretty positive guy, man. I try to look at things in the positive light most of the time. Of course, I'm still just kind of shocked about the loss. I mean, everything lined up for this team, and you see them make all the adjustments. You see Vrabel and John Robinson seemingly making miracles happen out of practice players and getting them coached up with the coaching staff to be able to put out there and contribute. They've done a great job all season long since Henry went down and other players that have gone down. Just a plug and play mentality, next man up, and they've bought in. The players bought into what we were doing here and really did contribute and did it admirably. And for it to come to an end like that is just it's a kick in the nuts. I'll just be honest and frank. It's a huge kick in the nuts. And it doesn't seem like that was a story that was being written all season long. So absorbing that, trying to digest that and process that is going to take a little bit more than a weekend and a day.
Well, the best medicine for kicking the groin, put your arms out and just deep breaths, in and out.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, 40, It's good having you back. You dropped off,
Yes,
but
sir.
glad we got you back up there. So good seeing you. How are you feeling today?
Well, I've been explaining how my emotions and feelings have been since Saturday evening. I feel like somebody ran over my dog. That's the best way for me to explain it. It was a shock, still in shock. But so you got to try to look at the positives with this negative and just try to trust the process with the organization, and hopefully we can get this thing to where we want it to be. And nobody plans for this to lose in the first in the divisional round, coming up being the number one seed. So I'm in shock like you all, hurt, but try to look at it as a positive, as growing pains to get where we want to be and to be a consistent franchise in the playoffs and expecting to be in the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, we'll let you vent a little bit.
Like I was telling the guys, it just feels like a punch in the gut. I mean, the expectations were really high, and for it to end the way that it did, After, looking forward to Henry coming back, Julio being healthy. The expectation was high, and it just, like I said, it feels like a punch in the gut. It doesn't seem real, still in shock,
and, and
you
it's
just have that feeling at the bottom of your stomach, like, it's
to,
tough. It's tough.
but to couple it with that and to piggyback on that to make it even more of a hurt is how well the defense just played out of their minds. And it looks like all the creativity that evolved from having a bye and getting healthy, but that extra time in coaching up the guys and installing new, the game plan, it looks like most of the time was spent on the defense. It really does. I mean, the stunts, the creativity of trying to confuse Burrow and the different looks that we saw them do. We hadn't really seen them fake the blitz and actually blitz as much as we did, trying to confuse Burrow and throw him off a little bit. And it worked. I believe it was pretty effective, what they were doing. It just didn't seem like we had that same level on the offensive side of the ball. And I know we can probably get into that later, but that's just on my mind.
Well, we'll definitely break down that game a little later on. It'll be like a Band-Aid. We'll rip it off real quick. No problems. We'll just get through it. Yeah. But first, we got some top news and some scores to get through. So we'll throw it up on a little screen, and we'll get going to our top news and some really great games on, -1. But still, some pretty good football. And here we go, matching up the whole map. Basically, the championship games are set. You've got the Bengals playing the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers against the LA Rams. And we'll try and break those down a little bit one by one, giving them a chance to figure out what's going to happen lining up this Super Bowl matchup going forward. So let's start with the first game. And I really thought this was probably the best game I've seen maybe in about the last 5 years. Offensively, it was amazing. You had everything you wanted at the last 20 seconds even. So, even a little controversy at the end going forward. So, Corey, I'll start with you. What was the best thing about this game, in your opinion?
The best thing about the game was just the elite offensive play that we saw on both sides. Who's going to win? It was just heavyweight fight. Big punch by the one opponent, then they come right back and answer. Just exciting downfield plays, elite quarterback play for sure. Josh Allen, I think, was just playing amazing, and then he would do the impossible, but then you got to kick the ball off. You got to kick it back off to that guy, and he would do the impossible, and just the back and forth of it all. It was exciting all the way up to the end, and somebody had to win, somebody had to lose, but it was definitely a great show.
And Ricky, I'll give you this next question.
Mm-hmm.
For the Bills, it just seems like it was just another great game where they just didn't get to show anything because of the overtime rule. And I know we've all got opinions on that, but Ricky, you personally, starting with you, were you fine with the way it went down and finished?
It's funny you asked that because that's the question I asked the fellas in the group. Should the overtime rule be changed? And to be honest, in the playoffs, the regular season, I get it. But as for the playoffs, it just didn't seem fair that Buffalo didn't have the opportunity to get the ball. Because, on the coin toss was probably the biggest play of the game. In overtime, because whoever would win the coin toss was going to win at that point because neither team could stop the other team. So I think it's something that needs to be revisited in the offseason to give both teams the opportunity to at least touch the ball, So, yeah.
It definitely would be interesting to see what the NFL's overtime would look revamped. And 40, I guess I'll give you this one. Starting with that, I mean, in your opinion, what would be the best way to go about that? Revamping the overtime rule.
Revamping the overtime, if you're going to make changes, I'm not saying I'm for making a change for the overtime rules, but if you're going to do anything, it'll be simple. It's just to give each team an opportunity to get the ball, even if the first team scores. And if they don't score or match the points, that'll be the game. That would be the best way to revamp it. But I kind of like the way it is now because you have an opportunity to stop the team, and if you don't, that's just the end of the game.
And I agree with you on that. I mean, me personally, I have the old school mentality. You put your defense out there, and they got to try and give you an opportunity to at least get a possession. So, especially now where you have to force them to a field goal in order for your offense to get on the field. So, I don't have a problem with that. And I don't see the NFL making any changes to that, especially when we went through this a few years ago in the AFC Championship with New England and Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah, but if your team was in that situation, I'm just telling you, it would. You might feel a little different. You know what I'm saying? Because it's tough to lose that way.
I wish my team was in that situation. That's the problem.
Hey, we should have been.
Exactly.
I just think if you don't you would have to do more than that 40, because you would run the risk of just it becoming a clown show at the end. Every possession they're scoring, and you're getting deteriorating defensive back play. They're tired, they're blown up. So you run the risk of just running the score all the way up to whatever it is, and that I think that takes a little bit away from the integrity of the game. You'd have to have a limit, or you'd have to make them go for 2, or you'd have to do something to where you would get a decisive one way or the other, rather than just matching points.
And that's a great point.
I'm not for it. Yeah, I'm not for revamping the overtime rules. I just said if they revamped it, just to give them the other team another opportunity.
I'm glad
they put the limit.
They did with. I'm sorry. I'm just glad that they changed the sudden death rule, where at least if they don't score a touchdown and kick a field goal, at least the other team gets the ball at that point. It used to be sudden death for real,
right?
Regardless if it was a touchdown or a field goal.
And another thing you could add, is if both teams score, then the next time you score, you got to go for 2. Just something, just something different.
Yeah.
And you'd have to, because the way these two teams were playing last night, we wouldn't have gone to bed till probably about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So something had to give.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Buffalo Bills defense was gassed. They were gassed. That's why Kansas City was able to go down the field like they did.
I just hate that 13 seconds.
Too, though.
Oh, yeah, 13 seconds left. I for the life of me, I don't know why you're that deep. I mean, I know you're protecting the goal line, but you got to know really all he needs is he had a timeout. I just don't like that prevent defense like that.
I don't like the kick. I would
kick?
squib it. After they scored, instead of kicking it deep and giving them a touchback, squib the kick, run some time off the clock.
And that definitely was a
still had a
big
time,
problem.
Yeah, did they run 2 plays or 1? 2 plays.
I think it was 2.
They were able to
3 plays to score. 3 to score. 3 to score. They scored on the third one.
On the kick the field goal on the third. I got you.
To Kelsey.
Yeah.
Well, Kansas City moves on, and Buffalo once again will be questioning a lot of things, especially in the offseason moving forward. Getting to our next game.
Repeats itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, brutal.
But
they're feeling bad today too.
Yeah, we almost had some history here with Tom Brady coming back, but unfortunately, LA prevails 30-27, and this one really kept some Buccaneers fans on the edge of their seat, as well as the Rams fans. Mm-hmm. So, 40, I'll start with you. I guess the first question is, how real should people be looking at the Rams' offense right now?
The Rams' offense is clicking and getting stronger day by day. You got, what's the receiver's name? Odell Beckham. He's showing out. The running back is back from surgery. He's getting stronger. They just got to limit those fumbles that they had against the Buccaneers. It's going to be a real problem for the 49ers, I believe.
And Cooper Kupp looked extremely, extremely well, especially throughout the whole day. It just
throughout the
amazes
whole
me.
He's been
season.
consistent.
Really is.
Nobody. I think we would have. The only time I've seen him play and not do as much as he did yesterday was when he played the Titans. For some reason, I mean, he still got what he got. He still did well, but he didn't just embarrass us. That guy's been just eating all season, and to have Odell on the other side, and then you got who's the you got somebody else I'm trying to think of.
Jefferson
They got
probably.
Jefferson. Yeah, he's all right, but that
Mhm.
that Cam Akers almost blew that game with that fumble,
Hmm.
like 40 said, but I don't think he'll make that mistake anymore.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So
Hey, Ricky, I'll give you this next question.
Mhm.
Just from a standpoint of Matthew Stafford revitalizing his career and just how amazing this season's been for him, is it just a testament to Sean McVay's offense, or has Matthew Stafford just been hiding under a pile of just dirt that was Detroit?
Well,
Right.
I think it's a little bit of both. He was still what a top five pick, if not a number one pick, draft pick, and plus he put up numbers in Detroit, but it was probably because they were trailing in so many games. But I think the combination of the growing pains in Detroit and Sean McVay's offense putting him in the best position to win and get the ball out to those um, true athletes and those elite receivers like Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham. I just think it's a little bit of both, but you know, Goff and that offense did just enough. But when they went out and got Stafford for this particular reason, I think it's paying off dividends for both of them, for the Rams and for Matthew Stafford.
and yeah, they sold out on this defense on the acquisitions. I mean, they made a lot of deals, I guess, and taking a
Hmm.
lot of risk on winning right now. So
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays and sometimes it doesn't. And looking on the
Right.
other side, the Buccaneers seem to have a lot of questions going into this offseason. And Corey, I'll give you this question, but I'll let everybody else chime in with their answer. Will this be the end for Tom Brady? Have we seen him play his last down as a Buccaneer and even as a football player?
I don't think so. I think that's just a personal decision for Brady. I don't think he'll have any pressure from the team that's pushing him out. I don't think that looking at the season he's had with the performance he put up this season, I mean, how can you say he's done when he's still arguably the best in the game? I mean, he's so smart. Of course, he's going to slow down as far as mobility and being able to get away from some sacks, but he's always been kind of a statue. He looks great. He's got big time playmakers around him. They'll have to make some decisions on makes maybe some acquisitions in free agency and in the draft. But he's still got a great squad around him. I see him coming back for another year.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was his last game because they brought pretty much all the starters back, right? From the previous year. I just think it's
All
going to
Yeah.
be hard.
all
Yeah, I think
22
it's going to
starters
be
return.
and I
Oh
think
wow.
it's going to be hard to do that again. It's some contracts that I'm sure may expire or somebody may want to go and get paid or whatever, but I think this was the prime opportunity for him to go back to back. And I don't know if he want to deal. He's a competitor. He's a competitor, and he will. If somebody leaves, they can plug and play somebody else. But I definitely won't be surprised if that was his last game for sure.
Good
Being
point.
the competitor that Tom Brady is, I don't see that being his last game. He's going to compete. I can see him playing till he's 50. Tom Brady wants another ring. He wants to continue to make history. People want to play with Tom Brady. He's a legacy. He's the GOAT. He is what he is. I can't see him going out that way. He eats right. He's in shape. He doesn't have any injuries, really. to worry about. Life is good for Tom Brady. Like one of my friends said, how long are you sad for people who got a lot of money? I said about 10 seconds. Tom Brady will be back till he's 50. He's coming back.
And I guess the big question for me is it's scary to think of Brady at his age playing, especially when most of us that are in our late 30s and 40s, we can barely get out of bed and function trying to go to the bathroom. But the one thing that worries me about Brady is just like every quarterback at some point, like Peyton Manning, like Drew Brees, like Ben Roethlisberger, time's going to tap you on the shoulder regardless.
Eventually,
And
right.
I hope it's not in a situation where he gets seriously hurt. And I don't want to see him pull a Brett Favre where he hits his head on the ground and then he just says, I got to quit. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point.
That's that.
But go ahead, Corey.
Did you see the pass that he threw to? I think it was a 55-yard completion, kind of kick off that to Evans. I was like, man, this dude's he's not stopping. If he is,
right,
he might. But if they got any chance of being a contender next year, he's going to be right there to lead that ship.
Yeah, they're going to contend as long as he's there, you know.
Buccaneers coming in with a lot of questions in the offseason, but not the Rams because they're moving on to the NFC Championship. And who are they facing? Well, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. Well, of course. It looked like it was Green Bay's game to win, but San Francisco comes in at the last second and snatches it away, showing once again Aaron Rodgers is pedestrian at best in the playoffs. So, wow. Ricky, I'll start with you on this one.
He's a Rodgers fan. You're going to start the Rodgers fan. The Rodgers fan. I thought about you today, Ricky. I'm like, I wonder if he's sad about Rodgers, too.
Well,
okay.
And no, Ricky, nobody put me up to this, Ricky. I promise you. No one put me up to this. But how big of a punch to the stomach is this to Aaron Rodgers' legacy? We know he's a great we know he's a great regular season quarterback.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, I hate to say this, he's Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point, and I will a disclaimer: I did not see this game because
That's fine. That's fine.
I think funny. I saw the punt at the end, the punt block and all that. But anyway, I think it's a huge shot to his ego because we all know his ego is huge. Because I really think he wanted to ride out into the sunset. Guns are blazing, double. You know what I'm saying? Throwing the
discount double check,
the Bud Adams to Green Bay on his way out. So I think it was a huge shot to his ego, and I don't know how he comes back to Green Bay behind that. You know, Adams may be gone, his number one receiver, and just his legacy, you know, that this is this continuing to tarnish his legacy as one of the best quarterbacks ever, you know, with the playoff performances. So I don't know. It just a huge shot to his ego.
And 40, I'll give you the next question.
All right.
Basically, we already know that he's more than likely leaving Green Bay. And I think we'll start with you and move away up and let everybody have an answer. But I definitely want to get 40's answer on his first. So, where do you think the best spot for Aaron Rodgers would be right now? And how do you think
now,
moving forward would that cause a domino effect?
Well, I can see Rodgers going to the Denver Broncos, which I wouldn't want him in the AFC because it just gives us somebody else we got to compete with to try to get to the Super Bowl. It'd either be Denver or the New Orleans Saints, you know, and that's going to affect Russell Wilson, you know, on where Rodgers goes. But first pick, I think Rodgers will end up with the Denver Broncos because their defense is solid. You know, they stopped the high-powered Dallas offense. They were a physical team this year on defense, and look what Bridgewater did with Denver. So Aaron Rodgers, you plug him in, and they are an immediate contender.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I was gonna, say the Saints myself. I don't know. That's going back to egos and personality. I know Sean Payton has a big one as well, so I don't know how those two would mesh together. But I was thinking Saints as well. Other than him coming to the Titans. But I think you made I think you made two really good predictions with the Broncos and with the Saints. I do. I think I pretty much agree with that.
Corey, where would your destination be for Aaron?
Man, that's a great question. If not in Green Bay again, I don't know. I saw a meme that he was in black and yellow today. Somebody posted.
Mm,
So plug him in Pittsburgh.
I
He's
forgot
used to
about
cold
them.
weather playing. Roethlisberger just stepped away. It's funny how the parallels between Tom Brady, kind of being pushed out in New England or whatever that happened, but he was still wanting to play football. You look at Aaron Rodgers like he still wants to play football. He doesn't look like he's ready to give it up, but we all know his past with Green Bay leads us to think he's going to be leaving Green Bay regardless. So where does he go? Why not Pittsburgh?
And I
They
really
have
like.
a
I love all those
hell of a
answers.
defense. Yeah. You got a young, exciting running back. You got a dynamic receiver. He's a little immature. Juju, he can play. Uh, Always got a good defense, and I think you got a solid coaching staff that can kind of let Aaron be Aaron and makes the types of decisions that Aaron wants to make on the football field.
And Corey, I'll give you the final question. San Francisco's been basically the spoiler in all these playoff games they played in. And starting basically since week 17, when they upset the Los Angeles Rams, and now a rematch in the NFC Championship game. Do they have one more upset in them?
Hey man, something about this San Fran team is is to be admired. I mean, they're so physical. The Titans still hadn't stopped Debo Samuels, but I feel better because he kind of ran through nobody stops Debo Samuels. So that's just what he does. If Garoppolo can be an effective game manager, like we needed our guy to be an effective game manager, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. And I love Tannehill. I'm a big man. I've been a big Tannehill defender all season. Ricky was talking about his interceptions in preseason. He was saying that he's throwing more interceptions in practice. I'm like, man, it don't matter, But that's not the question. That's not the question. That's not the question. Let me get back. Let me stay on point.
You're
Let me stay
fine.
on point. What'd you say? What was we talking about?
The
I
question is,
forgot.
that's all right. The question was, does San
Oh, do
Francisco
they have
have
another?
another upset in them?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yes, they do have another upset in them. I think that they match up well against this Rams team. The Rams have an exciting offense, but I think San Francisco can slow the game down and play effective defense and pull off another upset. If it's an upset, are they the underdog? You think?
Well,
I think so.
that's a great question
I'm
because I
having
was
trouble
looking at
connecting to the internet. It looks
the
like an issue with the
matchups.
router and Echo device, so try restarting it.
And
Unplug
I was looking up
everything,
the
then plug
matchups,
the
and
router back in.
49ers won both
Wait 30
matchups this
seconds.
year.
Once the
that's
router
right.
is back on and connected to the internet,
I hear
plug in
Alexa.
the Echo device.
She's mad at me. That's okay though.
So yeah, San Francisco beat them twice this year, so that may swing it more in the Rams' direction. How does a team normally beat a team three times in a season?
Mm.
especially, especially twice in their house. So this will make it even more interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the matchups are set, and we'll definitely talk about those a little bit more later on in the show. But we got to get a quick break in. So we'll take a quick 30-second break, everybody. And when we come back, just catch your breath. We'll talk Titans Bengals. We'll get through it. I
All
promise.
right.
No worries. It's like pulling a Band-Aid off. Rip it off. Get it over. I'm Michael Bishop with the Power Hour, and we'll be back in 30. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and thank you for joining us on this Monday evening. I want to thank our guests from the Four Phonies podcast, Ricky, 40, and, of course, Corey, joining us tonight on the show. It's great having everybody in, and I want to make sure to remind you, if you love the show, help it grow. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe on our Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok pages at the Power Hour 615. And don't forget to also, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more content. I put out videos every week on YouTube and every day, Tuesday through Friday, on TikTok. So getting back to everything, guys, I want to make sure you get a shout out and let the audience know where to find you and where your content is. So Ricky, we'll start with you and we'll move to 40 next.
All right. This is Ricky, one of the Four Phonies, and you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, IG, everything, YouTube. Everything is Four Phonies. That's the number 4, PHONIES. We're just Four Phonies that act like we know what we're talking about, when it comes to the Titans. So, that's pretty much our thing. We're 4 childhood friends that decided to go ahead and get this thing going. It's one of those things where you get together and you're texting about the games. It was like, hey, why not start a podcast? So that's how it came about. So that's it.
All right, 40, let them know where to find you.
Yeah, we're on all social media platforms. I have a little segment called At Odds with 40 on the Four Phonies Talking Titans to give you, because in our state now we got legal gambling, so you can gamble now in our state. That's a little segment that always makes the games a little bit more interesting. Is if you got a little skin in the game, and it's just not for football for me. It's throughout the season, through all season. I bet college basketball, NBA, hockey, baseball, football year round. So we're gonna probably expand on that in the off season and continue on with the football the rest of the season. At Odds with 40.
And Corey, welcome back. Want to make sure you get a chance to let the audience know where to find you and your platforms.
Absolutely. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Google, however, all the platforms. I think we're spread around on all of those. So anywhere you're used to going to get your podcast, you can definitely find Four Phonies Talking Titans. Like 40 said, I think we will be expanding to include more sports. And at Odds with 40, of course, is a big section of ours. So stay tuned and look out for us, Four Phonies Talking Titans, anywhere you get your podcast.
They got a fantastic podcast out there, guys. I've listened to just about everything they put out. Love it. Big fan. Glad to have you all on the show. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't care if you think you're phony. You're legit.
Appreciate it.
Man,
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm very honored to have you all on there. Well, guys, I know we all don't want to talk about it, but sometimes you got to talk about things just to get it off your chest, and it's healthy for you. So we'll get through this, I promise. Throwing us on a little screen, and unfortunately, we had so many high hopes and so much riding on the season, and it just didn't work the way we wanted it to. And unfortunately, the final result, not one we wanted, and the following results followed afterwards.
How is the team shaping up?
Team's good.
All right, deep breath. It's over now. It's over. It's over.
That sums it
It's
up.
over. Just deep breath now. Just we're okay.
Oh
We're
man.
okay. But I'm sure there are a few of us letting out some anger, and that's okay. So we'll just start with the main chart right here and just go through it calmly and just talk it out and just see what we feel went wrong. So, Ricky, I'll start with you on this one.
Mhm.
The defense came out and basically hit them in the mouth. And we felt that we had momentum on our way, but they still were able to move the ball with ease and get little chunk yards a little here and there. So, I guess the biggest question is really, if we're trying to force turnovers, was that one little aspect that we missed out on trying to get these guys on their heels a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great point. Because looking at it, scoring 19 points, holding them to 19 points, with three of those coming at the last seconds of the game, you would think, oh, the Titans are going to win, and with the 9 sacks, you would hope at least one or two of those would be strip sacks to where we could scoop and score or something like that. I think that's the big opportunity we missed out on defense. Something to where Burrow would at least lost one of those fumbles. I know we had the interception, but aside from that tip ball that was the interception, Burrow really didn't put him in harm's way. And and I just think with the pressure that we was putting on them, everything was just going their way. Even with the 9 sacks, to where we didn't create one of those strip sacks or something to where our defense would have scored points. So that I think that was the most disappointing part in regards to the defense itself.
And definitely good point there.
We had a drop pick. It's a great play by Jack Rabbit.
Jack Rabbit, you're right.
But we got to get the football. Got to finish that play right there. And who knows? Who knows? That was definitely a missed opportunity. Not catching that interception.
Yep.
And 40, I'll give you the next question. And one thing that's just really disappointed me with Tennessee this season, and it's one thing nobody really talks about, I feel like, we just don't have a good return man. We don't have a guy that's going to get us about a 35 to 40-yard gain starting out on the kickoffs and really just set the premise for us to have a good drive. Do you feel that that's something that's really hurt us this season? I think we lost him.
Mm-hmm.
My question broke the screen.
I'll take. I'll talk a lot, man. So you have to put the brakes on me. But yeah, we've actually talked about that, Michael, on our podcast. Trying to improve our return game, trying to have a dynamic returner, somebody. But we've been so bad in that area, and I think we've got happy with just being able to field the punts and not doing make the big mistake. We had to get to that point first to have a consistent person to catch it. But no, that was a question on our podcast one time. When was the last time? I think we were talking about kick return. When was the last time we took one back for a touchdown? A.J. Brown had one off of a onside attempt.
Onside kick.
Yeah, but before that, I think it was back in the early 2000s. We found the person that did it, but it's been a long time ago.
I think the last time we returned one for a touchdown was back in 2018. So it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
And
we
got 40 back, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. My AirPods went out.
You're fine, buddy. That's all right. But let's see. I got a question for you since Corey went ahead and took the other one, so that's fine.
But it's saying that it's been a while for us to have that return.
Hey, it never fails, man. 40's 40's mic is gonna jack up, or his. We're not. This is consistent with how we do our show. It's going to happen at some point in the show. He's fine, and then it just goes kind of. We have to make do. So we want to make sure you get the full Four Phonies experience.
40, I think your mic needs to be put on a 3-week IR.
Oh man.
Oh.
All right.
But 40, I'll give you this question. And Derrick Henry just got off to a really slow start. And understandably, I wasn't expecting him to run it out of the gate. But, you put Deontay Foreman out there, and then he all of a sudden just runs over people. Did they not use Foreman enough? Or were they using Henry too much?
I don't know. Well, I'll say, I'll answer that or speak on it. I think it was good getting Henry out there, but once you saw the energy, excuse me, and the way Foreman was hitting the hole, I think you should have just rolled the hot hand. I think four carries, that wasn't enough. 20 for Henry was too much. So I think somewhere in between, those guys should have split carries, if anything. And then, at one point, it's the way we saw Foreman hit the hole and even keeping his balance on that one play. I think he was so hyped that Henry was back that he had to prove something. You know what I'm saying? So I think he was ready to roll, and I think we should have rolled with Foreman, a little bit more. I really do, and I don't know if that's what affected the entire offense, the entire game, because, they went into the game to the old game plan, and you got to look, Henry's been out for weeks, and you got to take in consideration, what's the word, his conditioning and everything. Yeah, you got to take all of that into consideration, and, let him get the crowd hype. He came out the tunnel, got the crowd hype, but if he don't have it, let's roll with a hot hand.
And I hear that, and I'm torn on that because, yes, when Foreman was in there, he made a spectacular run, and you could automatically see that he had more in his legs and was playing with almost a different speed or a different power than Henry had. From that point, from where we saw that, but all it would have taken is a fumble by Foreman. Somebody punch it out of there. And then we're like, why in the hell is Foreman in the game? We got Henry back. Looking back on it, it's easy to say he should have. I look at that and take a step back and say the whole game plan, the whole offensive game plan could have been more creative. Having two backs in. Why not have two backs in on one of those plays? Where's Hilliard? Hilliard made an excellent well, go ahead, Rick. I heard you trying to say something.
I'm just going back to that fumbling point. I mean, yeah, he fumbled. I think it was against the Patriots, but did you see how high and tight he held that ball?
Yes, I do.
The previous games before. I think he learned from that. So
he did.
I just think he had an opportunity to have a bigger game, and maybe we would have reverted back to the past couple of weeks, and our offense would have been a little bit better. That's all.
But even that question, that's really not the. I mean, the run game pretty much was okay. I mean, we got stopped in some bad times, and that's questionable. I think I tell you this, looking back on that was it the 2-point conversion play where Henry was stopped in the backfield, and that was a 2-point conversion play, right?
Yeah, that was.
It just didn't look like he was the same Henry on that run to me. It looks like in normal circumstances with that, even though it wasn't blocked great, we had penetration, and he got hit early in the exchange, kind of in the backfield. It seems like the normal Henry could have got there. He could have got there, stretched out, and kind of got there.
You could tell at times the offensive line was just getting these linemen too close to Ryan Tannehill. They were just breaking through and making Henry look just very pedestrian at times. And it's something we've struggled with most of the season, and it just showed once again in the playoffs at certain aspects.
Yeah.
But when I hear all of this, you just got to go back to 3 turnovers. Like, how can you overcome that in our style of play? With what we have, what we know who our quarterback is. We know what we do. It just seemed like when you look at their defense and the plays they made on defense, they look like they knew what we were going to do. We had some exciting plays downfield, but a lot of the times the defensive secondary was right there, the way he was going, and I don't know if they saw something on tape that showed some tendencies. I don't know if Tannehill's old coach said, "Hey, when he does this, he's going to do that, or he's going to stare down this receiver. If it's AJ, he's going to stare him down and throw the ball." I don't know what he did. I don't know why we had 3 interceptions. We didn't have that many pass plays to have 3 interceptions. I heard a stat today that there were only 6 interceptions by all quarterbacks over the weekend, and we had half of them out of all the quarterbacks that played, the AFC quarterbacks.
And
No. How many AFC teams was it? 8? No. 8 games.
It was
8 games total, right?
There's 8 games total, so
8 games total. So out of all the games over the weekend, there was 6 interceptions. 3 of them was by our quarterback.
And I guess that brings me to my next point, and I think this is for everybody's benefit, and we got to get this off our chests, and I'm not going to let everybody sit here and stew in it. We're going to vent this out. We are venting this out. You are my guests. Ricky, I'm going to let you start first. I am going to sit on this timer right now, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Say whatever you want to say. Let it out. We're gonna cleanse here right now. So, Ricky, your time starts now.
All right, I'm going to start off by saying I feel like I've vented so much and heard so many people venting. I don't even know what's left to say, but I haven't said it on this platform. But
Preach. It's your stage.
Well, I'm so disappointed in being outcoached. I really think that game we got outcoached, to be honest. Some of the decisions, and, I've heard it both ways about going for 1 or going for 2. Take the point. I just think the momentum would have changed in our favor a lot more just by having the lead with that 1 point. So that really bothers me. And along with the play calling, I mean, Downing, he didn't make any adjustments. We can say Tannehill all we want, which I agree, yeah, it is part of Tannehill's fault, but Downing, I don't know if he's built for us to succeed and get to the next level, a championship level team. Along with that, it's just little plays here and there. You can kind of tell how the game is going and how the game can be kind of dictated, because I go back to a play where a Blasting game is in there and he drops a screen and he had nothing but turf ahead of him or grass, whatever they're playing on. So, it just seemed like things just did not go our way, and I hated that feeling when during the game, with the first interception. I feel like we could have we kind of did overcome that one, holding them to 3 points, and I just think wasted opportunity. This team, probably one of the best teams we had since maybe 2008. They may be even better than that team. I don't know, but.
And time.
All right.
I hate cutting you off, but
that's all right.
That's what you got to do. You got to cut it off, then just breathe.
Sir.
Just deep breath now. All right, Corey, you are up now. You've got 2 minutes. Free your mind.
Man, our defense, I felt so bad looking at Big Jeffrey Simmons walk off the field, kind of limping, giving it a hell of an effort, a hell of a day for that defensive. They did everything they weren't a hype. You know, they lived up to their expectations, and so shout out to those guys. I hope we can keep that intact. Um, I think we continue once the hurt goes away. We continue to churn the roster and try to improve everywhere we can, where it makes sense. Bring back the guys that we can bring back, and we have to got to move forward. Got to move forward. I hope that they learn, like our defense learned the lessons from the 2000 from last season to this season. Hopefully, we can see some improvement and some more consistency on the offensive side of the ball, some more creativity, and maybe get a playmaker or two in here that can help us out. So that's all I got.
Man, he did it all in under 1 minute and 3 seconds. I mean, I'll give you more time if you got to release something. You got to give some truth. Give some truth, man. I'm not holding you back.
You know, don't make me start talking about
Who do we get rid of?
Kicker. I want to draft a kicker. I was all for it. I'll start talking about draft picks and some of the offensive linemen that went crazy a couple of years ago. Y'all don't want me to talk about it. Y'all don't want me to go down that rabbit hole. So I'll stop now.
I mean, it's judgment-free zone here. You got to vent. You got to vent, man. I ain't gonna hold you back.
We just gotta keep working. Like Derrick Henry said, all they can say is all the guys that said we just gotta keep digging. We gotta keep working. But there's some other things that have to happen too. But I love those guys' attitude. They get paid to play a game. These coaches get paid to coach, and the GM gets paid to get talent in here and make it all work. So I hope they can continue to do that. And I enjoyed the 12-5 season.
There you go. So there's some light at the end of the tunnel with this season. And I guess it's my turn to vent, and it's not even going to be what y'all think. Because I'm just going to be honest with you. I grew up a Cubs fan. So I'm used to this. I'm used to this. This doesn't bother me. I've been down the road, and I've gotten to the end, and it didn't end well. So believe me. But it all worked out. That's why I have just hope and faith that this is going to work itself out. The defense is returning a lot of key players. We're going to have to make some tough decisions on the offensive line and possibly with a few other players. But I'm very confident that we'll do it. But here's what I'm going to vent about. Because this, out of everything, out of the 3 turnovers, out of everything, bothered me the most. And it's some of you fans out there. And I'm not saying all of you. Some of you are good. Especially my fans. You're cool. Don't worry about yourself. You're on my show. You're cool. But there's some of you out there, and you know who you are, and I'm throwing down the gauntlet. And we're going to go down, and we're going to settle this right now. You do not burn a jersey of the Tennessee Titans in front of me. I'm not having it.
Hell no.
I'm not having it. I don't care how mad you are. You go for a walk. You go have a drink. You go play ping pong. I don't care what you do. But don't you dare take that jersey off and throw it on smoldering embers, because I will not accept that.
I like you.
So we're going to get this out of the way. This is how bad I think you are if you're burning your jersey. I don't like burning. I don't like them. You can't just sit there and say that it's justified. You just burned $130. What did you prove? Seriously, what did you prove? I burned $130. Hey, I can go to the mall and do the same thing and still feel a little more accomplished. You just burned something and basically inhaled it. So you're basically the guy that changes jerseys. You're the guys that fight at the games that are drunk. You're the guys that wear bags on your heads. And also, you're basically Chris Collinsworth. You're that bad. And Chris Collinsworth, you know what you did. You know why you're on this list.
Uh-oh.
You know why you're on this list. But yes, so for this fan, I'm putting you on a 2-week ban. You are not allowed to be on any social media talking about any part of the Titans. You are banned.
You make me sick,
I have spoken. I will not have that. And I did all that.
Emotion.
I did all that in under 2 minutes.
I was about to say, dang. No.
Talent.
Wow, I hadn't seen that one. The burning of the jersey. Now, yeah, that's a lot right
I
there.
did.
That's a little too much.
I saw that today.
That is too
did.
much. That's ridiculous.
I'm centered now.
Well, good. I'm glad you got
Glad
it
you
out.
got that out. Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm glad you got that out.
That took a lot out of me, but I'm glad I got it out. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick 30-second break, and when we come back, I've got an idea how to fix this offseason. And I'll discuss it with Ricky and Corey. Hopefully we can get 40 back. I know he probably wanted to vent, but unfortunately it looks like he went on the IR, so we'll just have to try and see what we can do, if we can get it back, hopefully. So I'm Michael Bishop with the Power Hour, and we'll be back in 30 seconds. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming to you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and that is my thank you to all you fans out there. I want to thank you for a great first year. I want to thank you for everything that we've gone through today. I'm glad for all of my guests that have been on the show. I'm glad for the games that I've gotten to go to this year. This is the highlight for me. The season may have ended in heartbreak, but I promise you, this has meant so much to me. And I'm going to continue doing this show even in the off season. We'll have lots to talk about on the draft. I'll definitely want to get Ricky, Corey, and 40 back. Hopefully the whole 4 phonies I can get on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk some draft stuff. Because believe me, we're going to be doing that till the draft finally hits.
Right.
But I wanted to take that moment and personally thank all of you for everything that you've done and contributed to the show. It means a lot to me. And I will continue to put out this content as long as you keep watching. So my most thanks and my just hospitable just graciousness. I salute you all and I thank you. All right, guys, we got one more segment. Let's jump into it real quick. And basically, we got a lot of questions this off season. So I basically took it this way. What are 5 things that I can fix? And I thought, well, damn, there's about a lot of things I'm going to have to fix. So you know what? I'm going to put a point on it. So we'll put about 5.5 things Tennessee needs to do in the offseason. I think I don't want to round up. We'll just do 1A, 1B kind of situation. I think that works. So my first thing is, Ben Jones is going to be gone more than likely. So you're going to have to find somebody to fill in his slot at the center position. I think he can be a little expendable right now. And the best lineman, I think, not being talked about is Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. And I think he can automatically plug and play this kid. Iowa is a machine at putting out offensive linemen. And I think he's a perfect fit for our offensive line.
Yeah, that's a good one. Saw that guy play. He built for our system, I think.
For sure. Are we moving on from Jones?
I think Jones is going to be the one player that's going to have to be expendable. And it breaks my heart to do that, especially so much time and just so much he's given to the community. But at the same time, you know, for somebody that's going to be 33, maybe possibly 34, that's a lot of money to invest in an older player. And Tennessee seems to just cut ties at the right time. So I feel at this position, Linderbaum's going to be the best center in the draft. He's going to go about possibly from 16 to maybe 26. And if he goes past 20, I'll be shocked.
Yeah. Wow. So you want that first pick to be a center?
I think you have to stabilize. I think, in my opinion, you have to stabilize the offensive line. Yeah. And knowing J-Rob, he's always building on one side in free agency, and he's drafting on the other in the draft.
All right.
So to me, I think this is the best. I think this is the best way to go. But that's my opinion, and I'm open to notes.
Oh man, they ripped me. They ripped me for drafting an offensive lineman with my pick when we did our pre-draft show. So I'm glad you got treated much better. All right.
And for the fourth one, we need the guy that's going to get the ball up the field. We need a special teamer. We need somebody that's going to get the ball and get us to about the 40 or the 45. And this kid right here, Knight, from NC State, I've watched his highlights. I've watched a little bit of his film. I love this kid. He's good at finding the open holes. He follows his blockers, and he can break loose and hurt you. This is the kind of playmaker Tennessee needs to help make them a more successful team on all three phases of the ball. And I think on special teams, he elevates them.
I mean, I've seen guys on film that look so dynamic with the ball in their hand, catching the ball. You ever heard of a player called TOREY? I forgot his last name. What's his last? I don't remember his name now. But there was a guy named TOREY. Yeah, Jackson, out of USC. Man, you should go look at his highlight tape and how he caught punts and kickoffs, and you want him back in here and put him. Oh, we did that. Never mind. I'm sorry.
But on the plus side, he is a running back. Running back is his natural position. So I think basically with Evans, I think he's basically going to get cut next year.
Yeah.
And I think you need a running back that can catch it and run it out of the backfield, or just is a quick little scat back. And really, that's what he is. He has good moves. He's good at carrying the ball. And basically, this dude will get some yardage, whether he's running or whether he's returning kicks. And you need somebody dynamic, and he fits the bill on all ends. He's the kind of player John Robinson loves to scout, and he brings dynamic to a special teams that is lacking.
Exciting. Nice.
Now, in free agency, I think one other thing you have to do, we've got to make a decision on right tackle. And I don't think Quisenberry is going to be the answer, even though he has played exceptionally well in the last few weeks. But you need somebody that's going to be more locked in. And Trent Brown, in my opinion, is probably the most affordable and probably the most underrated tackle in this free agent class. It's going to be interesting to see if the Patriots keep him. And usually they don't pay a lot for guys, especially when they do have money. But the thing is, Bill's not a keen guy on keeping his guys. He usually likes going out and shopping like he did last year. Mm-hmm. So I think Brown's going to move on from the Patriots, and I think he's a perfect fit at right tackle.
All right. I like it.
I do too.
I like it.
I agree. Quisenberry, he held up well, but I think we definitely need another somebody that's a little bit better. I really do. So yeah, it's a great point.
And the best part is he's only 28. Wow. So he hasn't even cracked his prime yet.
Wow.
Nice. Okay.
Isaiah Wilson's younger than that.
His rap career at this point's got a better chance of taking off now.
Right.
I like that.
And of course, the number 2, and it's honestly the easiest one. We have to find a way to keep Harold Landry on this team. This front four and this system is built for him.
Yeah,
we've seen what Landry can do by himself, and if he wants to go out and get paid, I'm fine with that. Guys that want to get their money, they have a window to get it, and if he feels like he can get paid, I'm not going to be mad about that.
Yeah.
But I will say this: if I'm trying to pitch to him as his agent, I'm going to tell you, this is the best system for you. They practically went out last year and built around you, so you're not alone anymore. You're not having to rely on, a Javanian Clowney that's going to get hurt, and then you're all by yourself again. Yeah. You have a stout core of defensive linemen right around you that are going to do whatever it takes to make you successful.
Damn, man.
So I got a question in regards to that. Well, first I have a couple questions. First, franchise tag. Is he a guy that you would look at putting the franchise tag on?
The franchise tag, I think, for his position is right around $17 million. So
okay,
that's
pretty pricey.
That's pretty steep, and J-Rob usually avoids hitting a tag on anybody.
Okay. Second question: if he wants to go out and get paid, or let's just say that's what's kind of been the theme around here, getting more recognition, because he balled out and really didn't get the Pro Bowl. Some of those guys pay attention to that, Pro Bowl, all pro teams and things like that. Do you think that's something that'll be in the back of his mind as for being recognized as being a Tennessee Titan?
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, I think Landry by himself is not the kind of game changer we think he is. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that is built to fit in a system. He's basically a peg that fits in a round hole. And that's not a bad thing. Some guys play better that way. You don't have to be a dynamic playmaker. Some guys are just better when you have other playmakers around you. And that's what I think Landry is.
That's a great point. Great point. We've seen him by himself when they couldn't really smell the quarterback. And we've seen him this year with Big Jeff and Autry and Bud Dupree. If I'm him, I want to shine like I did this season, and I recognize that it's not I didn't do it alone. So
trust me, I agree with everything you're saying. I absolutely 100% agree. Just a little devil's advocate.
I think we'll just wait and see what J-Rob does. He's pretty good at hammering out deals. They're going to have a good while to talk about it, so I don't think there's any rush right now. I think you just slowly work up to it and just kind of let things play out.
Yeah.
Eventually, Landry just, if he sits down and thinks about it real hard, yes, he can get paid elsewhere. But there's no other system right now that he will fit in and be successful at.
Okay.
And here's where we're going to go with the points. We're going to go with a point A here. Todd Downing is one frustrating person that we have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And what Mike Vrabel basically said in his press conference right now, they want to evaluate everybody and make the best decision going forward. Now, if Downing stays, and I'm prepared for this, but I'm also here with a plan. We need to bring in somebody that has had a lot of success with other quarterbacks. Gary Kubiak's track record with quarterbacks is phenomenal. He's worked with Steve Young. He's worked with John Elway. He has worked with a slew of quarterbacks, even when he was a head coach. I want people to remember at some of the quarterbacks the Houston Texans had that were efficient. Matt Schwab was efficient under Gary Kubiak.
It's true. Yeah.
He doesn't have to be the OC. You put him in a position that we put Jim Schwartz in as an assistant, a senior assistant. So Kubiak had recently retired, but he's a football guy. I don't see him staying retired for long, especially if a job like this comes up. You have a core of offensive talent that is just begging to be used the right way. And I think with Kubiak, you basically set him down with Downing just the way I think that Schwartz had done the same thing with Bowen, and they discussed the strengths of players and they discussed the weaknesses, and they utilized those. I think that's one reason why the defense revamped itself. Schwartz has a hand in it, but he didn't call the plays. Bowden did that. And I think the same can be said with Downing. I think you put him in this situation with a guy that has been there, that has won Super Bowls as an assistant and as a head coach. The pairing's perfect. And it solves a problem that doesn't need to be a problem.
So what about... Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Well, I was just going to mention, what about somebody like a Pep Hamilton or something stepping in if Downing is let go?
If Downing is let go, and I did think about this, Pep Hamilton was one of my choices, but one guy I'm really vying for, and I know has experience working with quarterbacks, and I know would move if the price was right. And that would be Ken Dorsey from Buffalo, the quarterback coach.
Ken Dorsey.
Now, there's people saying that if Brian Daboll takes any job, more than likely he could be promoted. But at the same time, he could go Daboll wherever he gets hired. So I take those into consideration. But the thing is, if Tennessee wants them, they could have them. They're basically just a good key piece, a good offensive-minded guy away from getting to what they need to get to. I mean, think of it this way. Matt LaFleur left the Rams for the Titans. So the price had to have been pretty good to leave in the first place. and it helped elevate him to a head coaching job. Dorsey is being mentioned in the next couple of years. If he's a coordinator and if he is good, he can move up to a head coaching job. Now, like I said, it's more than likely he could take the Buffalo job, but if Tennessee wants to pay him the right amount of money and they've got just as many talented pieces, it's an intriguing spot.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, you never know the impact something like that would have on an offense, and that's kind of what I was alluding to with the when I said the defense, the changes from last season to this season, and some of the moves that were made, and definitely like you mentioned, like Schwartz being a special assistant or consultant or whatever his role is, you got to say he had some positive impact on that defense from the change.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I believe that was a big reason why the defense was so revamped, but I will give Shane Bowen the credit he deserves because it was Bowen basically doing a play calling.
Yeah. Nice. And personnel. You had Beasley out there not wanting to be out there. And you had Joseph out there. Corner shouldn't have been out there. You had Clowney out there running in place like a big kid. I mean, we had some issues. So,
yeah.
At least this year, we all thought the defense was going to be sus. They were the strong point this year.
Absolutely.
Which bringing me to my final one, and this is the obvious one. You got to extend A.J. Brown's contract. He's our
the man
superstar.
his money. Yep.
The man, pay the man. That's all you have to do. Pay the man. And there's already reports out there that their agent and J-Rob are sitting down and talking and working out some stuff. Don't know if it'll materialize in anything solid right now, but it's a good start.
Oh, yeah.
So, guys, those are my points, and I know you guys got a few ideas of your own. Ricky, I'll start with you. What's one thing that the Titans need to do this offseason?
My one thing, and you had some awesome points, but I would throw in with yours a tight end. I don't think we'll have any officially on the roster moving forward.
The kid from Miami is very intriguing. I can't remember his name though.
I can't think of it either. And to be honest, I don't know who's available in the draft or free agency or any of that. But I just know that that's something we missed out on this year. We really missed Jonnu Smith this year. And I just think we need to solidify that position and get us a good tight end in here.
I'm trying to think who was available in free agency because I think there were a few names.
The kid from Cincinnati is, but I'm sure they'll pay him. I'm sure they'll keep him around. I can't think of his name. Start with a U.
Well, the Titan fans was, damn you killing me.
Right. Uh-huh. That is true.
But, Corey, what would be your one move that the Titans need to make this year in the offseason?
Man, I just think that broadly I'm thinking of keeping as many of the cohesive guys, the guys that shape that culture in the locker room, as well as some key additions that play good ball for us. I'm a big Buster Screen fan. I think he came in. I don't know. I didn't mean to mention him like that, but I don't know what you have to do to evaluate every position and just make raise up the entire level like you've done in the past as far as the personnel. Just keep making that roster and keep improving on that roster. So a move to do that, I think about AJ. I think about Big Jeff. I think about them going into a contract year. Do you do something early to show them that you're committed to having them remain Titans, Um, Harold Landry, a great point. We want to keep him on the roster. Uh, gotta have. I really like your point about the offensive uh, coach coming into or an assistant that has a proven track record with quarterbacks and maybe more of an offensive mind coming in to assist our current OC if he stays in place.
Al Pierce brought it up. It was Mike Gesicki from Miami, the tight
Mm-hmm.
end there.
Mm-hmm.
So he could be a pretty good fit.
Yeah, he could. I like that guy.
Yeah, that was
But
my
mainly,
fantasy league.
yeah,
Tight
that's,
end.
I think a lot of people grabbed him in fantasy.
Yeah, I actually had him. I apologize. I was thinking about. I was thinking about the U, Miami University.
I mean, once upon a time, the U was pumping out tight ends.
Right. Yeah.
You know, some of them were effing soldiers, but you know.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing here to remember, especially going forward into the offseason, you know, just like last year, there's things we're going to have to deal with. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be things that are necessary in order to move forward. And that's the key thing. This team continues to move forward because John Robinson is a builder.
Yeah.
And builders, when they don't like something, they'll tear it down and they'll build it again. In this case, you don't have to tear everything down, which is the nice part. You're really basically setting up for the future by basically retooling. And I think the biggest thing that needs to be retooled is the offensive line. I think you need to add a tight end. I think you need to add some key playmakers and maybe even draft another receiver.
Right.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You just said. Yeah. I agree
So-
with that.
The basic thing, folks, it's just breathe. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Whoever gets signed, gets signed. Whoever gets cut, gets cut. But it's all for the greater good of building this team the way it needs to be built. And let's just put it this way. Tennessee keeps exceeding every time they do it.
Yeah.
We've already passed one win. We're a one-win better team than we were last year. We just need to find a way to make things click and take advantage when we have the opportunity again. And I don't have any doubt Tennessee won't get back to the playoffs. The defense is coming back. We've got some questions on the offensive line. We've got to figure out what we need to make Tannehill better. And there are ways to improve quarterbacks. You can't tell me that there's not a way. And I'll tell you this much. If Tennessee decides to be a team that builds on defense and win on defense, you can have a fairly decent quarterback and win a Super Bowl. Brad Johnson did it. Trent Dilfer did it. Joe Flacco did it.
Yep.
And that's what I was always thinking about. You know, this season I've been kind of thinking that because our defense, probably the way they played, and our offense sputtered at times with all the injuries and just having a lot of fill-in guys that came in, role player guys. But I always thought if we could, get some main guys back, get some guys back, and have this defense get healthy, guys get in here and it just seems like all of that was lining up for us. So it's gonna take me a while, man. I'll be honest. I'll probably have to withdraw from football a little bit and just kind of not listen to talk radio all day and get a good solid week of reflection and away from the team a little bit. But I'll be back. I'll be the same guy.
You're just cleansing your mind. That's understandable.
Man.
It's been a long year. There's been some high roads. There's been some low roads. You just gotta cleanse. I understand.
Yeah.
But we'll be back better than ever. I have no doubt. It's a process. We're getting there. Sometimes you get kicked off the mountain. You got to start over.
That's it.
We're off the mountain.
Mike, you made me feel better.
You made me feel better too, man.
I love the motivation.
Yeah, you're a positive guy, man, and that's important out here in today's world because sometimes and I'm usually more positive.
I mean,
man, it was built so right.
I know. But believe me, as soon as that happened, like I just felt drained. I didn't know what to do.
20
I don't want to talk
seconds
to
left.
anybody.
Yeah.
We could have just took a knee. Go to overtime. We had momentum.
I would have been happy if somebody just punched one of the defensive linemen and we just took a penalty and just basically ended the game that way.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And how about that penalty, that delay of game penalty that ended up helping Cincinnati? That was tough, but that's just how it goes.
It is. You know,
Appreciate this therapy session, brother.
I'm glad I could help you all today. I'm glad I can send you back out in the world smiling a little bit.
Right.
It's still going to be a little bit of a recovery for some of us, but I promise you, coming from a Cubs fan, you're going to be okay. We'll all be okay.
All right.
All right, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight on the show, joining me for Phonies Talking Titans podcast. I want to thank Ricky, Corey, and 40, who unfortunately went on the IR with his computer or phone. We're glad to have him and his responses. We'll definitely get you all back here soon. Got a lot of drafts to talk about, but I'm very happy to have you here. Once again, I want to give you a chance to let everybody know where to find you and your formats.
Take it, Rick.
On all podcast formats, Apple Podcasts, what's all the other ones?
Podbean.
Podbean.
Podbean. We're in the Amazon store. You can ask Alexa to play for Phonies Talking Titans. And she will play it.
iHeart,
Spotify Radio.
and social media platforms, Twitter, IG,
At
Facebook.
The number 4, and then Phonies.
That's it.
Check us out.
Great content from these guys. Love their show. Big fan. Got to keep putting that stuff out. I want to hear more, guys. You keep doing what you're doing, and we'll definitely get you back on the show as soon as we can.
Thanks for motivating us, man. Definitely appreciate you reaching out and love your format, your show. I love the graphics and and keep it up, man. Keep it up. And keep shining this light because it's gonna help a lot of people. So tighten up. We're down, but we're not out, and we'll be back. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, fellas. You have a great night, and everybody else, I want to wish you a great night as well. Take care. Tighten up. We're going to get ready for kickoff 2022. Let's hit it.
Damn, we got to wait all the way back. Man, bye.
That was a lot of build-up just for that. All right, guys. You have a great night. Man. Take care.
Hey, you do the same, man. Thank you.
Once again, everybody, thank you for joining the show. And don't forget, if you love the show, help it grow. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok at the Power Hour 615. And don't forget to like, ring the bell, and subscribe on your way out if you're watching on YouTube. So I'm Michael Bishop for the Power Hour. Take care. Tighten up. Thank you for watching the Power Hour. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more content. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok at the Power Hour 615. Thank you. Have a great night.